Hey there, it's time for the show, the Tatiana Show, where you make friends and talk life and crypto. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tatiana Show. Have you been on social media lately? Noticing somebody rummaging through your messages, perhaps blocking you from posting certain kinds of content, even a cuss word or something pretty innocuous is getting censored right now. We've all been talking about it. We see it on Twitter. We see it on Facebook. We see it on Instagram. It's just everywhere. It's a bunch of freaking big brothers out there. And I'm not interested in that. And that's why I wanted to have my wonderful friend, Kingsley Edwards from Flote, which is an alternative to those terrible things, come on the show. But before we bring him on, I first have to, give respect for my co-host, the most handsome gold peddler that there is. Hello, Josh. How are you?
Are you saying I'm more handsome than Peter Schiff? Wow.
I mean, not for nothing, but that's not that hard. I mean, Peter Schiff's not like he's not a bad looking guy, but he's not, a
He's
stud
all
or
right
anything.
for his age with his epic beard.
I haven't seen his beard. I'm not into the beard. So yes, already you're ahead of the game. But if you keep growing in that facial hair, you could lose your position. So watch it.
Jeepers. No, it's been wonderful. It's another wonderful week's past. It's heading towards the end of summer, and that's always sad. But and we've had this big weird bear come out of the woods in crypto land. It's kind of
I'm not feeling that.
Yeah.
It's a good time to buy though. Anyway, okay, so Vaultoro, everything's going good. People are getting gold and stuff. How's the price of gold versus Bitcoin right now?
The amazing thing is that we're in a double bull market a few weeks ago with gold and Bitcoin, and people were trading into gold, of course, at the time, and now they're loving it because now they're buying back into the crypto. I find the traders on Vaultoro are really kind of they're people to look out for because they kind of when the volume goes up in Vaultoro, it's time to buy. I'm just saying, I think gold bugs have a little bit more understanding of economic theory. They're not just moon boys.
Yeah, although I think a lot of things have not been quite how people expected them. I know a lot of different people that are much more experienced with finance stuff than me saying that all of the things that we've been through so far should be indicating that Bitcoin would be mooning by now, but we haven't seen that happen. So I don't know why that is. You got any speculation there?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of control mechanisms out there now from Wall Street. You've got the CME, you've got the futures, you've got all these mechanisms for Wall Street to manipulate, just like they do gold and silver. So, although there's only 21 million Bitcoin, and it's way less than that actually in real life. So, they can't suppress it that much because they are the rarest thing on the planet. So yeah, it's definitely whenever it dips, don't be a little tiny wimp and say, "Ooh, it's gonna go down." Just buy the dip. Just buy the dip if you can.
Buy the dip if you've got the money. I don't know how many people have money right now.
Exactly.
But Kingsley, my wonderful guest, a return guest to the Tatiana Show. What do you think about gold? I know you and we know each other from Ron Paul, Gary Johnson days. You've been really hardcore into Austrian economics really early on. Of course, thank you for joining us at the show. But jumping right in, what do you think is going on with the crypto market? Any thoughts?
It's interesting. Like the altcoin market is pretty bubbly right now, but there's a lot of weird stuff going on with the DeFi craze, and I've been trying to really dig deep into it, and I just end up coming out with more questions than I have answers, to be honest. So I don't know, maybe I'm just getting older or something like that in the crypto world or whatever, and I can't follow these new kids with their DeFi, but it's interesting. I would say I don't know. I heard even just like a couple of days ago, when we dipped, I don't know, 5 or 10%. I had a couple people message me, "Are you worried? Are you worried?" And I'm like, been there, done that. So welcome to crypto. But just speaking about Peter Schiff, did you see the latest Peter Schiff drama with his son?
No, what happened?
I guess Peter Schiff, I think, ran a poll where he said, what was it? I forget exactly what it was, but it was basically something like, would you prefer, I think it was like preferred gold or Bitcoin or something.
And his son chose Bitcoin.
Yeah. And they were saying, it was, would you prefer to listen to a experienced financial advisor or some like college student? Everybody picked college student, of course, because I guess Peter Schiff's son is for Bitcoin.
What's happening there is a total game. He's amazing. He's an immaculate marketing machine, that guy, because the whole time he's using Bitcoin as a marketing platform. We know it, I know it. he doesn't. He really can't believe what he says, and he knows that he gets attention from Bitcoiners. And now, hey, he knows the young like Bitcoin. He understands it's rare. So hey, his son's gonna build up this fake sort of quarrel, like, and then both the family wins either way, the Schiff family. So it's really.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. I mean, you would think that he would have come around by now, and then also just in the even the last like year or so, he's just tweeted some kind of noobish Bitcoin crypto questions, or thought he I forget exactly all the drama that goes on with him, um, but who knows? I don't know. Yeah, it seems at this point like it kind of is just this little marketing scheme, and he's just using it or trying to use it to his benefit. It would have been great if he actually, started selling Bitcoin through his company back when he was talking about, or talking out against it. And what was that, 2012 or even maybe even earlier? But we'll see. I don't know. That's still on whether Peter Schiff will be pro Bitcoin at the end of the day or not. I think he's going to probably go down to his grave being against it.
I don't know. We're going to have to rub it into space at some point or another. I feel like we're pretty much at that point. But that's not what we're here to talk about. All right. Forget Peter Schiff. We're talking about how do we all communicate online? It's obviously been the scariest year probably of our lifetimes. And it doesn't seem like it's letting up. And I see so much censorship going on. And Kingsley, you created Flote, and I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about that. But my experience with it, so I've used a lot of these different alternative platforms, and I really like the user experience on Flote a lot. And it's very similar to Facebook, which has been kind of my preferable social media platform for a while in terms of, I just like the layout and everything. And it's been actually really nice to use, but it's definitely a hard thing. And I know that you guys have had a lot of progress with just a very small amount of money to start out with. Can you go into that a little bit, but also give us a little bit of background, because you also did Leet before, right? And you guys sold to Unicorn. So, it's not like your first crypto project. So give us a little bit of background, and then let's get into the origins of Flote.
Yeah, I started Leet, which was an esports betting platform in 2013. And we had it where you can play against other players and popular video games for Bitcoin. We got acquired by Unicorn in 2017. And then in 2018, 2019, I don't know, there started to be this trend that was really, worrying, on basically an attack on free speech by the big tech. I call them the big tech social platforms. And it's just you and I, with our history with Ron Paul, we saw it happen then with him, where he would say something on the mainstream, news, and then all of a sudden the reporters would come after saying that he said the exact opposite, or just fabricating things that he said or whatever. So we started seeing this trend of content creators, whether you agree with them or not, get kicked off of these big tech platforms. And it just, it's just became very worrying to us. Seeing YouTubers that you follow for years having to change the words they say in their videos so they didn't get caught by the algorithms. When they're just talking about current events, whether it's a shooting or something else that happens in the in the world. And so we decided to create have our take at social media. And after exploring the other kind of decentralized and crypto-focused platforms out there, we developed some relationships with some content creators that were making $7,000 to $10,000 a month on YouTube after being there for 6 or 9 years, building up their community. And then all of a sudden, overnight they just get demonetized, or they get banned outright. So I wanted to have a kind of a shot at developing a platform where people can express themselves freely, and also earn money doing it as well. And we know that cryptocurrency is the future of money, so we are very crypto focused.
What do you mean they're going to earn money doing it? Because do you guys have a Flote token? I mean, how are people making money? Are they just getting tipped? How does that work?
So we have a built-in Bitcoin wallet, and users can tip users through the wallet or through even our encrypted messaging. Or we have a super chat functionality for live streams. Also, you can, we have a similar like Patreon model where you can subscribe to other users and get access to exclusive content that's behind a paywall if you subscribe to them under that tier. And we're exploring our own token actually right now, and so we may have some announcements about that in the near future. But we're also looking to also recreate the ad revenue that YouTube monetizes, or that content creators monetize on YouTube with. So, and what cryptocurrency does, it allows us to do it in, you obviously using peer-to-peer transactions. So with Flote, unlike YouTube where the advertiser pays YouTube and YouTube pays the content creator, with cryptocurrency, we can enable peer-to-peer payments. So there's no middleman. That goes with, our tipping function too. YouTube takes 30% of super chats. We take 0. We don't touch that. Patreon takes up to 12%. We take 0%. So the idea being that in the long run, especially when crypto goes into the kind of hyper bull mode, which we were hoping for last year. Hopefully we'll still see it this year or next year. But we have a feeling that more and more people will be moving into cryptocurrency, and they'll be using Flote as a way to obtain their first crypto.
Very cool. Very cool. One thing that worries me about starting a social network is the terrible content that gets uploaded by just freaks. This world is full of like freaks as well as amazing people. Yin yang, of course, but yeah, and that's always scared me. How do you deal with that, with the real horrid stuff? 'Cause I've seen some documentaries on these people that work for Facebook and YouTube that are like going gaga and need, really need psychological help because they have to filter some of this awful stuff. And then where do you draw the line on filtering?
Yeah, so we don't go above and beyond what the law dictates. So anything that it's illegal on Flotes, we have to take that down. No one's willing to go to prison for someone's post of something terrible. But what we're seeing today is above and beyond with these big tech platforms where they're censoring speech, far beyond the law, demands. And then, really our focus is it's not that, we're not it's not our job to really to censor. We do if we have to, like I said, if it breaks the law, but really, our main focus is to provide our users the tools to moderate themselves. So we're developing things like, obviously like mute and block functionality. We also have a kind of a cool thing that we're building out where it's basically shareable block lists, where you can be a list of users or even keywords, and you can have it public or private, but basically so people can do one click and block a whole list of users or whole block of words at once. So that's really what our focus is to empower the user to moderate for themselves versus us doing it for them.
That's really cool. I really like that idea of allowing the user to do that.
Well, what if your user is an a-hole? You know what I mean? What if you have a bunch of Karens in the audience? What do you do then?
They don't like what they see?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Flote is a place for adults, and so if you can't handle, the real world, then stay on Twitter, stay on Facebook. You're probably fine there. But we're a place where you can talk about things that are happening today, and you won't get censored for it. You won't get demonetized for it. And even with cryptocurrency, we can't demonetize you. So
how decentralized are you guys getting? Sorry, Josh.
No, wait a second.
We're not decentralized yet. We are exploring options. The thing that's interesting about social networks is that there's been a lot of brainstorming as far as like what needs to be decentralized and what doesn't. So the longer I've been in crypto, I have kind of come to realize that it's definitely not worth to decentralize just for the sake of decentralizing. Usually you want to decentralize when it comes to security, really. So, or uncensorability. So we're exploring different ways where we can still give users the comforts of, for instance, like hosting your own data or downloading their data off of Flote and this types of things. But we're not looking to fully decentralize, maybe, the way that you see on some other blockchain social platforms.
This is one of the big things that I also really think is that a lot of the time it's about downloading your data And even the data that you get from Facebook is kind of unusable. Like you download your stuff from Facebook, it's just this like bundle of stuff. Um, so I think it's really about, and maybe, I don't know for the business plan, but hooking up with other social networks and saying, hey, we should standardize something where it can import and export just in case. But that's always difficult for the shareholders to go, hey, what? You're giving people option to move? You're taking up barriers of entry? Yeah.
So one interesting thing about the Facebook data is that we're actually hopefully going to be launching this week a way for you to download your Facebook data, which you, as a normal person, you wouldn't know what to do with it really. But we have just finished our first test of doing this up and being able to upload it to Flote. So you can upload your posts, pictures, and videos to Flote, hopefully by the end of this week,
Wow.
from Facebook to Flote. And so I think that's going to be really big in helping people make the shift. And we're also exploring ways that we can be partner or be interoperable with other platforms. For instance, right now we have the ability for you to post a float using Twitter's API, automatically repost to Twitter. There's other platforms that we can do that with that we're exploring, such as like if you upload a video file to Flote, then we can automatically publish it to library. So there's interesting things where we can make Flote really a good communication tool, and also kind of fill that bridge when it comes, from moving. We all know that it's really hard to get off these platforms because everybody's there and has the tools that we need. And really, a lot of the alternatives, they don't have the crowd, they don't have the network, and they don't have all the features. So that's what we're strategically building out, and we're building the tools to market to those individuals so that they can. We have this hashtag jumping ship to Flote that we're
I
pushing.
like that. So yeah, what do you guys do if Facebook isn't letting you even post about it? What's your strategy to actually get people to use it? Because I don't know, you can even send somebody a flow message on an instant message, like in the private messaging section, and they'll block those. That's what they were doing with Minds. And it seems like a lot of the people are kind of scattering. You hear some people going to Mealy, some people going to Parlor, some people going to Minds. Like, do you think that there is going to be an interest in having that interoperability? Have you guys found people being down with that because you are competition?
Yeah, we're not going to be able to work with every platform. It really depends what APIs they have open right now, or if we can create a relationship. Luckily, myself and my wife, we're pretty nice people. We have a pretty good network, so we are already in communications with quite a few of them, and a lot of them too. They do have open APIs, that we can utilize. So, but yeah, to answer your first question, as far as like being censored and stuff like this, because I do remember when that happened to Minds. I remember testing it out myself in a messenger, and it wouldn't go through. Who knows what they're doing now? They're probably shadow banning all these types of posts and links. Even if we can't really tell, even if they're just limiting the reach just a little bit. But what we do is we create great features. We get our community to help. Our community's small but growing, and is really excited about what we're doing, about the future. And I talk to people like you, content creators or influencers that can help spread the word and bring their, hopefully, your audience and others will help or jump ship and come to Flote. At least create an account. And that's like really what the important thing is right now, is because it only takes 2 seconds to create an account. And I recommend people create accounts on all the alternative platforms right now, just to test it out, see which one you like best. We're open to feedback, suggestions. A lot of people say that our network has like a mom and pop type of feel right now. So we'll pop in your stream, we'll answer questions on posts. Go ahead and send us direct messages. And we're just open, just really listening to our users' feedback right now, and really working from there to build forward.
So you're saying your users can talk to Tom from MySpace?
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. Hey, have you guys jumped into a bit of the Lightning Network action?
We are exploring that. Our CTO is really interested in the Lightning Network. So we'll see. And that's been actually kind of a pain point for us too, after the Bitcoin halving in May, is that, we saw fees climb again. and just transactions go really slow. And right now, Bitcoin is BTC is the only cryptocurrency that we support. So, we're interested in making BTC work better. Yes, we're exploring different options, and we're
Definitely
also
check out like LN bits and like so many packages being made to make it super easy now for platforms to integrate Lightning. It's getting a lot easier. We were one of the first exchanges back like almost 2.5 years ago to integrate Lightning when there was nothing. And it was
cool.
it was kind of tricky, but now it's really boom boom boom. It's quite easy. So yeah, definitely. If you want, I can hook your CTO up with some crew on that side. Maybe you guys have got already connections.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's definitely something to, I mean, especially for, microtransactions, there's nothing better. There's no better feeling than pre-confirming a transaction and then having a bunch and then being able to just transact away because you've already done one transaction. It's fine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Definitely interested in Lightning Network. We're also looking at, a lot of the top major cryptocurrencies, including stable coins too. So I think stable coins are another bridge, for content creators to start earning those. Maybe they're not, or they're hesitant to subject themselves to the volatility of Bitcoin or other cryptos. But stable coins can be kind of that first leap.
Can you guys integrate anything like a BAT token? I've been the Brave guys. I did some ads with them. They're really cool, and they've really been focusing a lot on content creators, and they've got an existing ecosystem. Is that something that you guys can kind of integrate as like a tipping function as well, or is it a lot of work to try and put in additional support for a different kind of coin?
No, yeah, we have, I've explored that a bit, but no, we're definitely interested in talking with Brave more. I've talked to their team only just once, but it's just a matter of time. But yeah, no, definitely interested in Brave.
It's so hard, isn't it? Like I find having a startup, there's so much opportunity and you really have to decide on one direction because you can get steered off into the wrong direction purely by going to too many conferences. Everyone's like, you should integrate that and that and that. And then you're like, oh, and then you end up as a total different product than what you wanted to build. So it's really good to sort of somehow block some of the opportunities out there just to power on and write them in your little book to get to one day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think as far as feature set is concerned, we're really targeting Facebook because they have a full feature set with a marketplace, with stories, with groups, and all those types of stuff. So we're really focused on that, but making it better. And so that's a long-term approach. Now, as far as like what you said, it's all about really is like about strategy and timing when it comes to the features that we're working on currently. So, right now, a lot of people are talking about leaving Facebook or they're pissed off about their what was it the community guidelines and all this stuff that's coming down the road in October. So as far as like a marketing perspective and kind of to make them the features that are most useful for people to jump ship to Flote from Facebook, that's what we're focused on right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the government, the US government is also is going to create a massive vacuum because of TikTok as well, where people are going to have to want to find somewhere. So I think there's a huge opportunity for you guys there too.
Yeah. TikTok is interesting. Are you guys on it?
No, I had a look at it the other day, and there's some funny stuff, but it's also like everyone copying everyone. It was weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm too old.
I agree.
Okay, so actually, Josh brings up a good point. The government's blocking TikTok. We had Lily Tang Williams, who was talking about how in China there's a lot of censorship that goes on. So essentially, any company in China can go and rummage around and get the background on anybody that they want. I mean, basically, a company can't say, "Oh no, CCP, I'm not going to let you look at this stuff." In the U.S., we're seeing a lot of changes in regulation. How can you continue as a business to function if you don't know what that regulatory environment is going to be like? For now, you can say, oh, we'll be, within the lines, but those lines are kind of fuzzy and they're always changing. And so it makes it even more difficult to try and grow. Zuckerberg, he's got all that backup cash and, the big beast of all the different people that he's got going on. So he has a little bit of negotiation. Do you think that that's going to be a problem more broadly, but more specifically also for smaller companies that are trying to compete? like how, because you're not going to be able to do the same things necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. In just being in crypto for so long and having to deal with also gambling regulations, so I'm kind of used to kind of, dodging punches as I go, as we build and figuring out, what the next step is as far as regulatory approach. Um, but yeah, we'll see. We'll have to, and my thing is I don't want government to introduce any more regulations, because I feel that usually those are a hindrance to, especially the small guys, especially startup growth. So I definitely don't trust any regulations down the pipeline. But who knows what the future holds? There's a lot of things that are very up in the air for everyone right now, all across the world. So I just know that free speech is online is so important right now. Almost more than ever. And so we need the ability to speak freely, just as we can in person, if they allow us to meet in person. And we just need to basically mimic the same things that we're able to do in real life as far as communicating, whether in person or online.
What if you're a leftist, like a real hardcore Bernie lover? What does Flote offer to that kind of a person other than irritation? Because you definitely have a lot of people that are in the libertarian anarchist vein, which I, of course, support. I think that there's a little bit more of a bridge that can happen with right wingers, especially with the polarization. But at the same time, I think that those conversations need to keep happening so everybody doesn't murder each other. So what do you do, to reach out to the left? Is that even a focus, or do you guys feel like there's just too much of a difference to make a healthy community out of that?
Yeah, I would say that our target really is anywhere from a voluntarist to a Trump supporting patriot, whatever you want to call them, conservative. We're open to anybody. So we have been seeing, a trickle in of people that are joining from different spectrums of the political sphere. And so I think groups will help in that regard. Also, as we see cryptocurrency, hopefully get, Bitcoin at least get past 20,000, 30,000. This, will be one of the platforms when those people, if they're interested in earning cryptocurrency, they can do so on our platform. So, we'll see, and we're thinking of different types of strategies and marketing strategies that we can attract people from all sorts of the spectrum of politics. But yeah, definitely easier sell for kind of any voluntarist or conservative right now, because they seem to be the ones. It used to be where the leftists, they were talking about free speech, and now the world is upside down. So it's very confusing times for everyone.
Yeah, I totally concur with that. The funny thing is, a lot of these social networks complain about people going into echo chambers and then solidifying extremist ideas by continually hearing the same thing over and over and sort of not getting another opinion. And this is why I really think censorship is dangerous in one way. But what I think is actually more dangerous is this constant, like when I'm on YouTube, I'll look at one person's video, I won't subscribe, but I'll continue getting stuff from that person, continue like always. And so I end up in this like YouTube world where I'm continually getting the same stuff fed to me all the time, just because I found one thing interesting a few times. And then I clicked on the next one, next one, and next one, and they made it a good title. And then forevermore, I'm getting this stuff. I, Dealing in algorithms, I think this is really a very, very fascinating side of the entire social network phenomena. Is how do the puppet masters, and I hate to say that for yourself, but in the end of the day, you are, because you are feeding stuff in a way, because there's just far too much information when people subscribe to 2,000 people. What do you serve up to them? And really, these echo chambers is what I find kind of annoying. But it's a sort of fine line. Hey, do you serve them something that people want, because then they'll come back and they're like, oh, I'm interested in this? Or do you serve them something that's counter argumentative, so they sort of feel like, oh, they get the other side? And yeah, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about orchestrating the feed? And they say watch what you eat, and that's exactly what you have to do. Watch the feed that you eat from your social media feed.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Let's give our users the tools to empower themselves to see whatever they choose to see. So with YouTube, I know, for instance, I don't follow any mainstream channels on YouTube, for instance, and I constantly anything, and I don't follow like any like conservatives or anything really, and so, but what comes next if on my auto playlist? Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, blah 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 blah. And if you notice with the YouTube app, you can't even block these channels. They'll still pop up in your autoplay. They'll still pop up everywhere. So it's like a very basic feature that you would think YouTube would have figured out, and apparently they didn't figure that out. But I'm sure it probably works with maybe some alternative media channels. So there's just an obvious, it's becoming harder to find information if you're using Google, if you're watching, videos on YouTube or looking on Twitter or Facebook. They're actively hiding certain content in favor of others. So we're really removing that. We're just rewinding the clock. Really, social media about 5 to 7 years or so, and just again, just let's show the users what they want to see. And I think, I've just become, that's another thing too, just as a user of these big tech platforms, I become really frustrated whenever I try to research a topic or try to look into anything, because they are actively hiding stuff. And it's been proven now, basically, with like Project Veritas coming out and exposing all the big tech companies. And so, we don't stand for that. And so, again, just really focus on giving the user what they want.
But how do you do that? How do you do that?
So like, for instance, right now, we have just a chronological timeline that used to be a normal function in all, social media before, introducing filtering features, pretty similar to like a Reddit style, where you can see, the top trending for the day, the week, or whatever. So there's different filtering, things that we can apply to posts in the future that we're looking at doing. And it's just, going step by step and playing with that and figuring out what gets most engagement.
Yeah, interesting. I find it fascinating. I find it really fascinating. So I find it also dangerous.
Are you guys getting users around the world, or is it pretty much just American people?
Yeah, no, we're seeing Americans, Canadians, a few people from Europe, some people from Asia. But yeah, I would say, it's definitely probably most American right now, especially because that's such a hot topic here.
Hmm. Yeah. Is everybody only just talking about politics, or are there other kinds of subjects going on? I feel like that's all I see anymore is just politics stuff. But I think you guys have some alternative health people and a pretty rich community. Can you tell us a little bit about what kind of stuff people can expect to check
Yeah.
out there?
Yeah, we do. It's coming up in the elections and everything's like politicized now. So we do have a lot of political talk on there. But we, cryptocurrencies. We have people, right now live streaming some video games. We have musicians. We have people that are into alternative health and nutrition. We have artists. So yeah, kind of a full range of people and interested in different topics, and that's why we're really looking forward to launching group functionality, so that those people can kind of own their own community and build from there.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the reason I stopped using Google. Really, after all the weird, Snowden revelations and everything else, what stopped me is whenever I typed in like natural remedy for X, I just get like CDC and just officialdom popping up. And I'm not looking for this. I'm looking for some herbal remedy to maybe deal with my, I don't know, hay fever or something. And instead, it's just, all the officialdom stuff. So,
Yeah.
I'm over this.
Authoritative speak, as they say, and we know, yeah, that's just not the way that we fly, and that's what created, made these social networks so popular to begin with. I mean, they were the alternative to the mainstream narrative, and so people were just able to act and communicate freely for the most part for a while. And now we see a stifling of free speech online. So I think every day I used to get upset, like when Facebook would censor people, or YouTube would do this or do that. And now I kind of, I'm just like, okay, it is every day I see them shoot themselves in the foot, and they piss off more of their user base that are just getting sick and tired of what they're doing. And so it just gives them one more reason to jump ship to Flote.
You know what? My motto is, if you aren't offended by something during the day, then you're not living in a free society. You have to enjoy the fact that sometimes you get offended. by something, and you can do something against that if it's illegal. Of course, you complain about it and stuff, but you know, being offended is not something that we should cancel someone's account over.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. And the things that the big tech platforms are, saying that users are violating their community guidelines for. First of all, it's very vague. No one really can like put a pin on exactly what they're talking about. And even if they do ban you or censor you in some way, they typically don't really give you the real reason why, or kind of outline exactly what part of their guidelines that they broke. It's always the vague is, or the answer is always vague as well. So yeah, that's one good thing with our community at Flote too. I feel that we do have, even with voluntarists to conservatives, there is a range of differences as far as opinions. And I would say that our community, so far has been very, very good and friendly with having just, friendly discourse. We're adults here. And if someone does offend you or whatever, then, block them. Poof, they're gone. No big deal. Move on with your life. Don't cry about it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel like we covered a lot of Flote stuff, but I did want to ask you something before we finish up the show. You've come on the show before. We've obviously had Lynn Ulbricht on the show, but we've also had you on the show talking about your father, who for people who haven't heard, tell us a little bit about your dad, and I'd love to get an update.
Yeah. So my father was charged with a small amount of cocaine back in 1993. He got a 60-year sentence. He's currently on his 27th year in prison. It's just complete insanity and like medieval tactics as far as what's going on with his situation right now. But there is good news. He was supposed to have his meeting, a clemency board meeting in Florida in April of this year. And then coronavirus hit, and apparently the government can't figure out how to have a teleconference and, meet on Zoom or whatever. So they canceled that. They canceled the next one in June, but the next one is coming up this month. Hopefully, if they haven't canceled it yet, on my birthday. So I'm hoping that's a good omen. On September 23rd, he is scheduled his basically they're planning to review his case, and it seems like we finally have a decent shot at getting him out and him them granting him clemency. So if people are interested in that, please go to freemichaelnow.org, and we have a petition, and I think we're almost at 10,000 signatures now. It takes 2 seconds to sign up, and I really appreciate it if everybody can just go there, sign up. It does make a difference, because they do look at, if we can say that we have 10,000 people that have shown support for his release, no matter where you are in the world. It does help, because these politicians, they're looking for votes, and they just want to feel good about themselves. And I just want to get my father out of prison. So, yeah.
Oh man, I am really sorry to hear that. That is just so disgusting. I just cannot comprehend that, Kingsley. And I'm really my fingers, toes, and everything else is crossed for you for September 23rd. Definitely, yeah. And folks, make sure you get there. What's the address again?
It's freemichaelnow.org.
Too easy.
Yeah, because they've been letting a lot of people out of the prisons, which is supposed to be, a good thing. There have been some spikes in crime in certain areas. Do you know on what basis they're deciding to let people out? Like in Ross's prison, for example, he's allowed to get 1 hour outside a week, which is just, that in itself is its own can of worms, right? Because you need vitamin D to beat this disease. And if you're going to get an hour a week, that's not exactly good. It's completely inhumane. But how are they deciding who to let out and who not to let out because of Corona?
I'm not sure 100%. Like, I haven't really looked into it because I know there's, the chances of them, especially I think a lot of the releases have been on the federal level, where he's on the state level. But it seems like, just from glancing at the headlines, that it seems like they're letting out a lot of violent criminals, where my father is nonviolent. And,
why? That's so weird.
Yeah,
I don't want violent people out. Let's leave them in there for an extra couple minutes, and let's start with the druggies. Yeah. I feel like that could be better. I don't know.
No, I 100% agree. And, just to give you some context on like exactly his situation. He went in 93, and someone on that same year, like, killed his son or something like that. Or I forget if it was his son, or the son killed the father. I forget, I think it was a father killed his son, and he got it within 10 years. My father has seen rapists and murderers and all sorts of people get out. And my father is just a really, a smart guy that got involved with kind of the wrong crew back in the cocaine cowboy days in Florida. And now he's paying the price, and just the time doesn't fit, or the crime doesn't fit the time, or which other way.
It's not even a teaspoonful of cocaine. I mean, it's tiny.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's this whole 3 strikes you're out, because I remember having you on years ago, Kingsley, and I remember hearing it, just being shocked
Yeah.
at this whole nonsense, ridiculous. And the taxpayer should be, even if you're for the drug, the taxpayer should be absolutely livid that their money is going towards housing this person for so long and keeping them in bars, having guards and everything else, instead of him contributing to society. And yeah,
Oh,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
And just
Well,
the
how much
fact
does
that
it cost to keep your dad in there? Because I think, right, people are talking about, oh, it's sad, whatever. Maybe people don't care. They say, oh, screw him. But if you care about, the deficit, how much does it cost to keep a prisoner in prison for a year?
Roughly $30,000 a year. So my father's been in there. It's cost the taxpayers about $1 million just for himself. And just, like what you said, he wants to be, he's a capable person. Even though he's getting older in age, and every day is just, I can't believe how, strong just mentally and, physically he's been able to keep up through all these years. But he wants to get out there in the workforce. He wants to provide, his mother, my grandmother, she's getting older in her age, and she, she's going to need more help. And his sister, he wants to get out there, and he's a smart businessman. He was just, applying it to maybe the wrong industry. So he's really looking forward to being a productive, individual. I won't say citizen, but individual in society again.
The government makes a whole lot of money off that drug war. I'm watching Narcos. I see what's happening. I got all these answers here. I mean, all I got to do is turn on Netflix. Do you think we're ever going to see an end to the drug war? Because actually, in a few weeks, we have somebody from Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, Leet, and I think that they may have adjusted the meaning now but essentially, it's a bunch of law enforcement people saying that, the drug war is making their job harder. They're not able to do a lot of things. And, we've had all these people talking about, oh, defund the police. Well, I don't know, maybe defund the drug war, and then the police aren't going to bother everybody and have as many altercations with people over a stupid thing like a drug addiction or just a party at a joint. A joint at a party, right? There's all sorts of reasons for police to be getting involved. Do you see any kind of positive rays of light to end this, you guys? I mean, I guess we can only speculate, but I don't know how much longer this can go on, because I don't think it's very popular to have the drug war raging, but there do seem to be a lot of financial incentives around it.
Yeah, we're seeing a move to legalization of certain drugs like marijuana and psilocybin, which I, in my opinion, a lot of people, especially libertarians, are like, oh, if it's not decriminalization, I'm not for legalization. But I think whatever it is, I'd rather have legalization versus nothing. I think that there is a slow but steady movement to get those things, different types of legislations passed throughout the state. So that's definitely positive. But I can't agree with you more. As far as like defunding the police, yeah, let's focus on the drug war. Let's focus on nonviolent crimes, because there's so many people that are locked up. A lot of them not as long as my father, but still locked up, taken away from their family, their homes. It's hard to get a job afterwards as well. So it's another kind of case of an insanity as far as the government's concerned, and dictating things that we should be able to choose as individuals.
Yeah, I'm with you, bud. I really want your dad to get out. I was sad that he wasn't able to make it to your wedding, but that was sort of an impromptu thing. So by the way, congratulations. Very nice. I'm a
Thank you.
big fan of Mrs. Edwards. So that's a good winning combo. We got to talk about that again on Proof of Love sometime, because now that you're married, you're still working together. I want to know, is it a ball and chain, or is it just a ball of laughs or whatever?
It's all good. It's all good. We just had our 1 month anniversary yesterday. So we haven't killed each other yet.
Congratulations.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys soon. And I think that everybody who's been listening to this and they're thinking, wow, these people are pretty cool, you can find us all on Flote. Hey, can a business set up a page on Flote? Like if Vaultoro wanted to have a Flote page, could they do that?
Yeah. We don't have specific business pages yet, but you can definitely just create a user. And then once we develop what that might look like in the future, we can just port it over to that.
Awesome.
Cool. Rock and roll. All right, everybody. We'll go to flote.app. It's flote.app online. Sign up. And if you guys are liking the show, tell your friends. The TatianaShow.com airs on Tuesdays. And Proof of Love is on Fridays if you want to change it up a little bit and not only listen to nerdy crypto stuff or political stuff. So, yeah, we've been having a lot of fun over there too with the ladies. So, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time.
What's the point of all this technology without a little love in our lives? Our hosts, Tatiana Moroz, Dr. Stephanie Murphy, and Lauren Kasovitz, have come together to bring you Proof of Love. Go to proofoflovecast.com. The Tatiana Show has been brought to you by CryptoMediaHub.com, a boutique marketing and PR agency for Bitcoin and beyond. Hey there, it's time for the show, the Tatiana Show, where you make friends and talk life and crypto. We gotta think and reflect and use lots of intellect with our hearts when we work together. I know that it can be so hard out there, looking all around and saying that life ain't fair. So that is why we will fight and stay up late at night, listening to the Tatiana Show. Thank you for listening to the Tatiana Show. Please follow us on Twitter at Queen Tatiana or on Facebook and Instagram at Tatiana Moroz Music. More episodes can be found at thetatianashow.com, and make sure you leave a review on iTunes and tell your friends. You are listening to The Tatiana Show. This show may contain adult content, language, and humor and is intended for mature audiences. If that's not you, please stop listening. Nothing you hear on The Tatiana Show is intended as financial advice, legal advice, or really anything other than entertainment. Take everything you hear with a grain of salt. Oh, and if you're listening to us on an affiliate network, the ideas and views expressed on this show are not necessarily those of the network that you're listening on or of any sponsors or any affiliate products you may hear about on this show.